Hello YouTube, Pink Ponage here. Not retired, I guess. Check it out. We have a really exciting video for you today because today, March 26th, we have gun balance changes by Big Box, the developers of this game. And I wasn't really going to do a video, but then my good friend Radfox said, please make a video. Like, we got exciting changes. And I was like, yes, ma'am, you got it. Let's do it. And so here we are with a new video. Please thank Radfox if you see her, for this video, if this video helped you. But otherwise, let's get to it. There are some changes that are very clear and obvious, and they are there on your screen on the bottom right. And then there is two changes that are major that were not mentioned, and I'm sure we'll find more as we go and experiment. But for now, this is what I do firmly believe is going to be the meta for a very long time. And we vetted this on stream with other professional players, and we're pretty sure this is where we are at in terms of the weapon meta for Population 1, probably going forward for a very, very long time, okay? So in this video, I'm not going to spend too long talking about how to use each weapon. That was really the last video. That was a long one. This is going to be just short on how the gun has changed or what its current purpose is in this now new meta we live in. All right, we'll start at the very top. So if you are new to this video, welcome. My name is Pink Ponage. I am a professional Population 1 player. This tier list, if you are not familiar, S tier is God tier, as in it is meta defining. It substantially changes the way you have to play this game. A tier is damn hella good weapon. You should pick it up when you see it, but it's just not as broken as the S tier weapons. The S tier weapons kind of need a nerf, is really what those are for, the S tier versus the A tier. A tiers are amazing, fantastic weapons. B tier is, they're good, but compared to the A tier, there's really not a whole need for it because of how good the A tier weapons are. Then you have the C tier weapons, which are same thing as the B tier, but even worse so because their niche is really outshined by other weapons. And then the D tier, it's really, they only got a couple of cases to use. And E tier is throw that in the garbage because it ain't worth your time to learn, it ain't worth your time to use. So let's get right to it. The AWP has and always will be king in this game. It has always been the best weapon in this game. Whenever it takes a nerf, over the 3 years, 4 years now, I think this game has been out, people cry about it and Big Box fixes it back. So know that this weapon is the most broken weapon in the game. You can kill someone at any range, close range, mid range, long range, very long range in 0.5 seconds if you are a professional with it. And I can teach someone how to do that in 30 minutes. I've done it with about 50 people now. Maybe more than that actually. Now it's been like half a year, I think. But I can teach them that in 30 minutes where it took me 2 years to do before. So know that broken as hell. People think it takes amazing skill to use. Yes, to use it like the top 3 people in the world, it takes amazing skill. But to use it efficiently at even a very high level of play, it really only takes 30 minutes, yo. So broken as hell. Now, let's get to it. The reason why it's broken, I forgot to mention, it even escalated. If I could give the AWP its own tier, I would. Because this meta now makes the AWP even better. Peeking got nerfed because when you used to peek, you could peek really low and your head wouldn't be exposed, but now they made the view higher, so even when you peek low, your head's still exposing you. So it's real. Peeking got nerfed, and the M60 got nerfed, and the M60 was really the soft counter to the AWP, but now since the M60 got a slight nerf right now, the AWP just goes up even further, right? So AWP, stupid overpowered, always will be use it. Enough about the AWP. Let's get to the M60 here. So the M60 took a slight damage nerf. I don't think it really changes how you use the weapon, like its niche, but I do think it does hurt the time to kill substantially. It makes it the worst time to kill assault rifle except the CX4, but the CX4 is dog water, so we don't talk about that anyways. But the purpose of this weapon is to really be very long range or long range, not mid or close range, and spam the enemy at very long range. It's very easy to aim with because you just have to center the box on the target, and they made the recoil very easy to control now. And it breaks build the best out of all guns in the game, essentially, at all ranges, but particularly the long range because every other weapon is horrible at breaking build in the long range or the very long range. I classify ranges by close, medium, long, and very long. M60 breaks build the best at all ranges, but it certainly is the only gun that breaks build at the long and the very long range. And so your enemy can't really just willy-nilly, if you are shooting them with an M60 and you have one other teammate shooting them with really any other weapon. Know that you can outbuild an M60 one-on-one. If so, one person shooting with M60, you can outbuild it one-on-one. It's not that broken like it used to be. It used to take 2 shots at very long range to break build. It now takes 4 at very long range to break build and 2 shots at close range to break build. So know that it's not stupid broken. I know people complain about it and say it's a low skill weapon. I think it actually takes more skill with how dangerous the AWP is when you're playing against good players. But it is a great weapon still, and it doesn't change its niche in the game. It is meta-defining because of how great it breaks build. If you have 2 people on a team using this, you certainly can melt someone who's trying to hide behind build at very long range. So it's a great weapon, and it's just a solid weapon, and it's fun to use too, which is really cool, just like the AWP. So now, let's get to the A tier weapons. So we start with the MP9. So if you weren't aware, I didn't really have this in my last tier list video because we were still learning after that last tier list video. But the MP9 was really god tier. It was honestly like up here, except it has a different niche than the other 2 weapons. It was really S tier because it had one of the fastest time to kills in the game. It has like amazing accuracy, like super easy to aim. You don't have to practice, where you can just pick it up and use it and just react to it. It's that simple. And then it's quiet, and then it breaks build in 3 shots, and that was the fastest build break weapon in the close range, period. All right, and that's really what made it an amazing gun. In the close range, it's all about surviving with build. You try and spam build to survive, but the MP9 made it so you are not safe in the close range because it fires so fast. I believe the rate of fire is about 12.5 bullets per second, and it breaks build in 3 shots. So it can break 4 build in 1 second. So it was very hard to hide behind builds. A lot of the times I died before I could even react to build or like get a couple build up because like it was so fast. And I had 1 build there, and I was like, I'm safe. But then I got killed through the build, and I didn't even, I couldn't react in time. And so know that the MP9 is still really good, even with the slight damage nerf. I don't think it hurts the time to kill that bad. If you are not aware, the time to kill now is certainly going to be worse, I think, or slightly equivalent to the MP5 and the P90. Actually, I think it's slightly worse. But because of how good it is at breaking build, it still comes out slightly on top. But the ease of aiming the gun is also what makes it come out on top. So yes, it is better than the MP5 and the P90. Why? The MP5 has the fastest time to kill out of these 3 SMGs, okay? It does, especially if you get a headshot, which is about 33 damage. The time to kill is about 0.4-ish seconds if you hit all headshots. Which is very, very hard, even for a master with this weapon. So it's not easy to aim. You actually have to learn it, and you have to spend like a week or 2 on it to master that one-handed aim, because you have to be peeking with it or you will die in the close range. So know that the ninja buff we have is that the MP5 and the P90 now break build in 4 shots, everyone. They're back in the meta. The MP5 and the P90 dropped down to pretty much unusable with how good the MP9 was. Now that they break build in 4 shots instead of 5, they're back on top. Let's go. So it makes it more equivalent to the MP9. So the good news is that the P90 is going to break build really just about as good as the MP9. Almost, like just maybe slight. It might actually be, if you do the math, it's probably the damn same, but the P90 has more ammo, so it's probably even going to be the best build break close range weapon. But the problem with it is that it has random recoil. It doesn't have a recoil pattern that you can memorize and just do. No, you have to like randomly react, so the bullets are going everywhere. So know that the P90 now is amazing because it's better at build break, and I think it got a slight damage buff, by the way, 3 patches ago that no one really talks about. And so I think the time to kill is great on this. It's better at build break now, so I think this is a usable weapon. If I see a gold one of these, because the recoil is easier to control, I will certainly pick one of these up, all right, and use it over like maybe a blue of the other 2, okay? That's where we are in this meta, and that's great. That's healthy, all right? Awesome. The other guns are back. So it's really cool. At least these two used to be meta for a very long time. So this is very exciting. I think the MP5 and P90 are on equivalent footing. The MP5 is clearly not going to be as good at breaking build as the P90 because the rate of fire on the MP5 is not as fast as the P90, but the rate of fire is just about the same, if not slightly faster. It got a nerf recently, or somewhat recently, a few patches ago. So the rate of fire is slower than the P90, but it's really similar to the MP9, but it does more damage and it has more ammo in the magazine, I think, at least at the higher stars. So I like the MP5 better than the MP9 now and the P90 because I have laser beam aim with the MP5. I have memorized the recoil pattern, and so I can shoot it just as accurate, if not more accurate, personally, for me, than the MP9. Just MP9 is weird to me. Not having to control recoil is weird to me. But anyways, so the good news is these three SMGs are pretty much equivalent at the top of the A tier right now. They are the close range weapons. Because if you have two people having these now on your team, no one with a shotgun can charge you. Like one person with a shotgun can't charge two people trying to spam build. So like before we would spam build and try to get close to someone by putting a lot of build in front. But with how great all three of these weapons break build now, you can't get close to someone unless you're using like a building, hardcover we call it, like a wall or a rock, or like the terrain. Like you have these weapons, these shotguns have now become more niche. And if you didn't realize already, they were already becoming more niche because of how strong the MP9 was in this last patch. So I do think they're going to be even more niche. You don't need three people with shotguns on your team. You probably only just need one good DT11 player or M10 player and have the other people with SMGs and you're golden, okay? So it's an interesting meta we live in right here. So why is this DT11 here now? Because before, the DT11 was like pretty much S tier until this patch. Why? Because the DT11 got a damage nerf. It's now 96 damage per one shot if you hit all the pellets. There's 8 pellets, so 8 times 12 is 96, when before it was 104 damage. You could kill someone yesterday, but in the last patch, with 2 shots, and the magazine is 2 bullets, or like the gun holds 2 bullets. So now you have to reload, and reloading hurts the time to kill, how fast you can kill someone with all weapons. So before, the time to kill with the DT was like 0.3 seconds, like probably literally. Now it's probably 0.6 seconds, 0.55 or something like that. So it takes a substantial nerf in time to kill with having to kill someone in 3 bullets now with the DT11. That's huge. You have to make sure now when you're charging someone with the DT11 that they're hurt already, because you don't want to reload in that close range with how dangerous all of these other weapons are in the close range, okay? So DT11 already took a lot of skill. Now it's going to take even more skill to learn. And for the old DT11 players, that's not going to be really that big of a problem because, for example, we used to have to kill someone with a DT11 in 4 shots before. So professionals who have used this before, yes, it hurts them a lot, and you're going to see them use submachine guns more. But overall, it's still a strong weapon. It just takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of skill, and because of that, I'm actually going to put the M10 above it, but know that they're roughly equivalent, okay? So for example, the M10, now the gold M10 has a faster time to kill than the gold DT11 or any DT11, okay? Why? The gold M10 has roughly a 0.4 second-ish time to kill. I think it's like 0.46 or something. The last time I did the math, like a year and a half ago. And so the DT11 was faster than that yesterday, but now it's really not going to be, and it's going to take a lot more skill to get the reload and not miss, your shots. And so it's because of the M10, you can just hold down the trigger if you don't know, if you're a new player. The M10 is a full auto shotgun if you just hold down the trigger. It took me 2 years to learn that, which is hilarious. But anyways, the DT11 I think is actually below the M10. If you have a gold M10, all right? I think the purple M10 is roughly equivalent in terms of time to kill, as will be all of the DT11s if you hit all your shots. So I do think that the M10 is only better than the DT11 because of how easy it is to aim, how easy it is to shoot. You don't have to reload it. And know that only the gold M10, I think, supersedes the DT11 by a good amount. And so I will now pick up a gold M10 over a DT11 any day of the week, personally, me. And so I was already kind of doing that if I didn't really want to hassle with having to hit shots and reload. Sometimes I get lazy even. So a lot of times. So the DT11 is really what changed up a lot of this here, because the DT11 was the meta-defining weapon in the close range as well as the MP9. But with the SMGs taking a slight change and the DT11 taking a huge nerf, we're now sitting in a point where the SMGs are the king of the close range, followed by the shotguns. Before, it was roughly equivalent, like the MP9 and DT11. Yes, the MP9 was used more, but the DT11 was still very, very important. Now I think you're going to see the shotguns just be not used as much as the SMGs, and that's okay. DT11's been meta for many years now. So let's get to the assault rifles. Now, this is different from my last tier list, okay? I'm putting all of these equivalent. I couldn't put these on top of each other. Know that I actually see these three weapons equivalent now. This is very different than my last tier list. The RFB has its niche. It's super easy to aim, the RFB, very intuitive, the recoil pattern, versus the AKM. The AKM takes a lot of practice with to learn and master and keep your control of the recoil over time. Like, I have to tune up my aim every couple weeks or so just to make sure that it's like running well, so when I take it in game, I'm not missing shots that I need to hit. But the AKM does the best close range damage out of all these assault rifles. Okay, it has the fastest time to kill in the close range because the headshot damage is crazy high in the close range, and the damage of the body shot as well, very high in the close range, versus the RFB and the MK18. The RFB, though, its niche is the very long range to the long range, okay, or even the mid-long range. I categorize range by very long, long, mid-long, mid-close, and close. That's just how I, break it down. The RFB is great for anything mid-range and above, because even if you are a professional with the AKM, you will still naturally hit more shots with the RFB because of how easy it is to aim. And we have tested this in many, many times. Even me, who I use only the AK a lot of the time, I still hit more shots with the RFB at very long range and even long range. So know that the RFB is niche. As long as you're hitting shots very, very, and when I mean very long range, I mean like ranges that like Quest 2 people can't even see when I'm talking very long range. Long range, mid-range, still, you're going to hit more shots with the RB than the AK. As long as you're hitting shots, that's the most important thing, right? But know that once you get to the mid and the close range, the AKM takes over and it's better. Now, the MK18 is very interesting. This weapon is only meta now as of the last buff it got in the last patch. It got like a ninja buff. And so it fires faster now. It is amazing, actually, in terms of time to kill. It actually has, if you hit all headshots, probably the fastest time to kill out of all the assault rifles, without a doubt, because you really only need 2 bursts with all headshots, assuming that ever happens. But know that on paper, it's got the best time to kill. But really what makes it great is its burst. Because what you can do, you utilize peeker's advantage. You come out of, you strafe out, you two-hand it. You can't one-hand it. That's really what makes it not so good, is you can't peek very well with it. It's really not worth your time to do, but you can do it. But what you can do is you strafe out really quick, very tight strafe out of your wall. You take your one burst, and then you immediately go back behind the wall. So you come out, burst and back, burst and back. Mix up the timing so you're not predictable. Come out again, burst and back. Wait, burst and back. And you're doing like a lot of damage if you hit your shots with it. So it is really great because burst is the name of the game in player versus player games. No one sits there and lets you shoot at them. Not no one, but most good players will not let you shoot at them for more than half a second before they start throwing up build or hiding behind something. But when you only get that short time to shoot at them, the MK18 is going to put out more damage than all the other assault rifles, because they're just going to the enemy is just going to throw a build, and all of these weapons are, well, actually the AKM and the RFB are horrible at breaking build in mid and long range and close range. Honestly, they're bad at breaking build at any range. The MK18 is actually the best assault rifle next to the M60 in terms of how fast it breaks build. It breaks build in 2 bursts. That's amazing with how fast it bursts now. even at mid-range. So the MK18 is, if you are a pro with this, I think it's just slightly harder to use than the AKM, and it's harder to use for sure than the RP. If it was easier to use, I would rate it better than these other two. So I do think all three of these weapons are on equal footing right now, which is really exciting. So now let's get to the Uzis. So the Uzis did get a buff here. So I should put a nice little highlight here on it. I put a nice little highlight for everything that got to change. So the Uzis got a damage fall off buff. They do more damage a little bit further away. And that's really important because I felt like when I used them in this past few months, I wouldn't want to be close enough where the MP9 was really dangerous, or obviously the shotguns. And when I realized is that I really wasn't doing enough damage, because when I got too far away, obviously the damage was too low. So if, in theory, the damage fall off distance is better, it really makes this have a niche. If you don't want to be super close, but you want to be in like the close to midish range there, and you should be able to win your fight against another SMG player, assuming equal skill, equal aim, and all that good stuff. Takes higher skill to use because you need to be able to shoot with your offhand, like your weaker arms, unless you're ambidextrous or you do practice with it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but know that I won't make fun of you if you use this weapon now, because it is serious and it can catch people off guard. It is the fastest time to kill weapon, I think, in the game now, period. If you hit all shots. There's no headshot damage with this, and that is a downer. But it's probably the fastest time to kill on paper. It's one of them. I think the PX4 technically is the fastest time to kill with headshots, but it's one of the fastest time to kills in the game if you hit all your shots. If you miss one bullet, really changes the math. So know that you have to hit shots, but it is up here. I do think it is usable, but the danger is that you have to ground walk, and I mean, like, you have to be exposed, like you have to stand. You can't like peek something with one hand. So it's got its weakness, but it's not horrible. Would I choose it over these other three weapons? No, not really, because you need a lot of ammo with it as well. And against good players, you don't really have a lot of time to loot. So it's not that great, but it's not that bad. Usable. The FAL. So this one is an interesting thing. In my last tier list, I actually put the FAL up there, and the FAL was meta for a very long time. I don't think the FAL is that meta anymore. It is the real reason why it has dropped on this tier list. I believe I even had an A tier list, is that the MK18 got buffed. Really, they do the same niche. What you're trying to do with the FAL is you come out of your cover really quick, do 2 shots, and you come back down. Boom, boom, and you come back down. Boom, boom, and you come back down. And you're not trying to be too exposed. But you can do that better with an MK18. So why use the FAL? And some people say, oh, I use it at very long range. And I go, that's great. But it's not really that easy to aim at very long range and shoot it fast. You really have to spend a lot of time practicing with it. And so it takes it takes more skill, because just how hard it is to time that shot at very long range when someone with an AWP is going to just murder you. So know that it's not horrible, but it's not great. I would actually pick each one of these other 3 weapons they pretty much serve the niche that this one does. So I don't see a need for it. I know players that are excellent with this and better with this than they are with other weapons, but as a whole, I think it just deserves to be here. It had its chance up at S tier, but now that everyone's figured out that, okay, its major strong suit was that it was quiet. So by the time you got shot by a FAL, you got shot 3 times, and that was like 120 damage if you got hit with all headshots. But now people are smarter. Now people know they have to take 1 hit. People start building up. And so you don't usually get a whole lot of time to shoot a good player who's expecting to build as soon as they get hit and are not expecting it. So people have wised up to the FAL and now are not dying to it as much anymore. And so it is not as good as these other 3 weapons. Let's just be real here. So the Tech 9, man, this thing got a buff. It got a 2 damage buff per bullet. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, and it probably isn't a whole lot on paper, but every little bit helps. I was still using this when slightly desperate in competition games. I wiped squads with this in the close range. A Diamond Division squad I wiped in the close range in the scrim. If you know how to use this right, you have to come out, peeker's advantage, spray and back behind your cover in close range. Peek, spray, reload, and back. You can't just duel someone there, because if If you miss shots, like 2 shots, like the math was so bad that you had to reload before you could kill someone. And again, what happens if you have to reload? The time to kill drops substantially, especially because it has a weird, funky reload. So it really isn't great in the close range compared to these others. Can it be used? Oh, certainly. Do I know people who are good with this? Oh, yes, certainly. But in a one-on-one, it's horrible. As a team support close range, it's great because once build comes into the picture, this weapon's dog doo-doo. But if you have teammates with these other weapons, and honestly, any of these other weapons, the SMGs or the shotguns who are breaking the build, and you just come on in with the Tech 9, that's a different story. So it can do damage, but it can't break build. It's horrible at breaking build. I believe Rat Fox told me it was 5 shots to break a build with this, and it doesn't have a lot of ammo in the clip. It's absolutely horrendous. Don't use it to break build, and in a one-on-one, I'd be very hesitant to use this if they're expecting you and they're spamming build, all right? Now, the very similar story is the Matadors. I think the Matadors got a slight damage buff a couple patches ago, and no one really noticed or really gave it any light of day because of how dangerous the MP9 was and the DT11 was. But I think they got a slight buff somewhere along, in the past few months because they seem to do better damage at a little bit further range. It's just what I noticed from just personally using this. But the time to kill is stupid fast if you don't miss a single pellet. If you don't miss a single pellet, it's really fast. But they're just like the Tech 9, and that's why they're very close together. For the close range, it's really, really bad at breaking build. The time to kill drops substantially when build comes into the picture. So it is not as good as the SMGs here in the A tier or the shotguns here in the A tier. So, but it's usable, but it's, again, just like the Tech 9, it's like that close range support weapon. You got to have other teammates who are breaking the build. You just go on and finish up shop, right? That's really what it's about. Or if someone's dumb enough to ground walk in your face and you just ground walk into their face, yeah, they're going to die. Same thing with the sword, really, when you think about it. The sword is nice for its movement speed, yes, and it's got the fastest time to kill if someone knows how to swipe efficiently with it. Now, it's really hard to get in the close range these days against players now with how fast build breaks in the close range, especially now with the MP5 and the P90. So I think, really, the sword got a nerf because you have to close the distance, right? Now, the sword's really good for hiding in a building, waiting at the door, and no one can come in. That's what it's great for, and that's why it's up here in B tier, because it makes the close range dangerous, and so they can't charge you. So you can literally sit there in the doorway, if it's a one-on-one, and res your friends, and if that person dares come in, you just quick swap and sword them. So it's got a great niche, but it's very difficult to use in squad gameplay, like 3 versus 3, because you gotta play like a ninja. You can't just head-on attack with it. So know that it is okay. The UMP is dog water compared to how great all these other SMGs are. It has worse time to kill than all of these other SMGs, I believe. And the aim is nice, sure, but it just, there's no reason to pick it up over these other 3, except for it's easy to aim. But to be honest with you, the MP9 is easier to aim than the UMP. The UMP now has recoil that you have to control. Before, it was literally like a straight line. You never had to learn anything. Now the MP9 is like that. The UMP actually has a recoil pattern that's strangely different from everything else that you shoot that's, similar to it. So you have to kind of, when I pick it up, I have to tell myself UMP, and I know how to control it. So know that it does take a little bit of recoil control. It's not hard, just a little bit. It's very intuitive, though. The Seiko. Don't take sniper ammo from the AWP player if you're using a Seiko. Like, if you have an AWP player on your team, I can't stand when someone's using a Seiko on my team and when someone else has a good op, because AWPs are that broken. The Seiko is only great for head peeking, coming up, peek firing, and coming down. So it has great burst because you can hit people in the head twice and kill someone, in theory. Not easy to do. It takes a lot of skill to use this weapon. I was one of the best with this weapon at one point in this game. And it takes a lot of skill to 2-tap headshot very quick at maximal speed. I used to have clips of doing it, but it was like once in a lobby kind of thing, a competition lobby. I do it once, maybe in the entire lobby if I'm lucky. So know that it is not worth using ammo on this when you have AWPs. Sniper ammo is easier to come by, but it's not really like that abundant. You should, if you have extra ammo, sure, take it. But the AWP player can shoot the head peeker much better than the Seiko player can. Okay, so let's be real. AWP can do everything that the Seiko can if the person's great with an AWP. So Seiko, C tier. The CX4 is only good when you're on the hot drop. People are flying in the air a mile away. You pick up that CX4 on the ground. Okay, free kill. That's the only time the CX4 is good. Period. Otherwise, the time to kill is so slow that it has to be a bad player to kill them with it, because most players will throw up one piece of build and this gun becomes useless. And since the rate of fire is so slow and the damage isn't great, then you probably only got like 40 damage on them. They just put up a piece of build and they made you ineffective. So the CX4 is not good, and it never has been really. But it's got that niche of killing people a mile away in the air. All right, that's the only thing. Magnum, similar situation. This thing's only good when you're desperate and you're head peeking and you're shooting in someone else who's head peeking, because you can two-tap someone. You can kill someone with 2 headshots, or a body shot headshot with, your body shot headshot with a gold one of these. It breaks build really fast with a gold one, but know that it's difficult. It has a kind of a slow bullet travel speed compared to other guns, so you really only use it in the close mid-ish range, and it's dangerous doing that when you have all these crazy now close range weapons to choose from. So it doesn't really have a niche. It's just like the desperate kind of measure. You peek something with it. If you're not peeking while you're using this weapon, you're doing it wrong. The PX4 and the 1911, they don't serve any purpose. Zero purpose. Versus all these other guns. The PX4, on paper, fun fact, is the fastest time to kill in the game if you hit all headshots. If you hit all headshots. But bullet travel speeds for pistols are so slow, and it's actually really hard to hit all headshots with this weapon, that it's not feasible. The 1911 is honestly better than it. Let me just do that. 1911 is better than it. It's a solid weapon. The aim is easy. It's intuitive. The aim gets better as you shoot it more, as you empty the magazine, and the headshot damage is respectable. And you have to be peeking. Don't dare stand toe-to-toe with someone and use any of the pistols, really, unless you're hitting headshots, like always. So that's just why the pistols are at the back end. They're really just like, backup measure. Except the Tech 9 now. All right? So otherwise, this is your definitive tier list. This is how it's going to be for several months now, I believe. So have fun with it. I do, again, think this is the healthiest meta we've ever been in. So congratulations, Big Box. You've done it. If you just nerf the M60 just slightly a little more, and then nerf the AWP, I think we are in the perfect meta, period. Totally subjective. I know everyone's going to cry whenever I come up with an AWP nerf, but let's be real, everyone. That gun is really, really broken. All right, y'all. Have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it helped you, like, comment, subscribe. Give Radfox a big thank you, because she's the one who motivated me to do this. I hope y'all have a great day. Pink Ponage out.